After 5 years together, Julian dropped to one knee in front of me and proposed to his first love. If life could always be like the moment we first met, the one I've always loved is you. Disillusioned with love, I chose a marriage of convenience with Mr. Perfect Ethan, but Julian came begging for a second chance like a madman. I waggled the ring on my left hand. I'm already married. Ethan stepped out from behind me, tone bored. Julian, you'll call her sister-in-law now. On our wedding night, Ethan appeared with wet hair, 8-pack on full display, voice low enough to scorch bone. Wife, who told you I like men? I'd been with Julian 5 years when his text popped up. Bellevue Garden Restaurant, private dining room 888. Come quick. It was the city's most romantic proposal spot. Remembering the ring receipt text I'd accidentally seen on Julian's phone, I did something rare. I put on makeup, slipped into a dress, fussed with every strand of hair. I pushed the door open, expecting magic. The roar of the crowd hurt my ears. Julian knelt, ring held high, voice syrupy with devotion. Brielle, if life could always be like the moment we first met, the one I've always loved is you. Will you marry me? Across from him, the girl in white cupped her face, leaned forward a fraction, and breathed, I do. Applause and cheers exploded. Only after the noise ebbed did someone notice me in the doorway. Sis, Cassidy? Shock blanketed every face. The air froze, gazes shuttled between Julian and me. In that three-way standoff, Julian broke the silence first. Why are you here? He was proposing to his ex. The current girlfriend really shouldn't be crashing. I didn't answer. I just kept staring, waiting for an explanation. But he only wiped the smile off his face, voice flat. Since you've seen it, let's be clear. Cassidy, we're done. Saying it seemed to lift a weight off his shoulders. I swallowed the sour burn in my throat and whispered, fine. I handed him a bottle of wine. Drink it, and we're even. He didn't take it. Under everyone's stunned eyes, I emptied the bottle myself, stumbled out, and reeled down the hallway. Julian didn't follow, didn't even call after me. 5 years of devotion couldn't compete with the return of first love. I knew Brielle, Julian's high school sweetheart. They said he transferred schools because their puppy love tanked his grades. After we got together, his friends joked that Brielle and I shared similar eyes. I hadn't cared then. Now I knew, I'd only ever been a pitiful stand-in. I slumped on the front steps, head spinning, when Maya rang. Did you say yes yet? I'd been so excited after Julian's text. I'd told her everything. She'd sworn he was finally proposing to me. But now, he fell for someone else. We're over. I sobbed so hard I couldn't breathe. Her voice kept coming through the line, but I couldn't make out the words. I'd been abandoned again. The first time was right after the college entrance exam. Mom and Dad met me outside the testing hall with icy smiles. Divorced, remarried, neither wanted me. Dad handed me a debit card and walked away with a baby in his arms. Mom held another man's hand. Show 11, you're 18 now. Time to fend for yourself. That night I drank myself sick for the first time. Julian stayed by me, eyes full of heartache. Cassidy, I'll never leave you. That's when I said yes to him. And now he'd broken that promise too. I hugged my knees and cried until my brain felt starved for oxygen, and I pitched sideways until a strong hand caught me. Here. I looked up, refined brows, thick lashes, a fistful of soft tissues in his palm. His voice was gentle. Where do you live? I'll drive you. I laughed at myself, wobbling upright. I don't have a home. Darkness swallowed me. I fell into a warm chest. I woke in a strange bed. We locked eyes. The man spoke quickly. I'm Ethan. You were wasted last night, insisted on coming home with me. I didn't know your address, so he offered his ID. I'm not a creep. I muttered thanks, added him on WhatsApp, promised dinner on me, and bolted. The second I climbed into the cab, Maya called. Was the guy hot? Turns out after I blacked out, Ethan had answered her call. After teasing me, she added, Julian rang me looking for you. Want to fight for him? 5 years is a long time. I sighed. It's impossible now. I hung up and opened Julian's Instagram. Latest post, finally found you, glad I never gave up. 2 photos, their cheeks pressed together, and their clasped hands with that eye-searing ring. Their happiness stung. I liked it, then blocked him. Back on campus, research lab deadlines crowded out heartbreak. Half a month later, Ethan messaged, "You promised me dinner, forget already?" In the restaurant, calmer now, I finally saw him clearly. Ethan's eyes were deep-set, nose straight, profile sharp enough to cut glass. With a face like that he'd never want for female attention. He suddenly said, "Cassidy, 29, penthouse, sports car, my own company, no exes, how do I look on paper?" I almost choked. When I looked up, he was smiling. "I happen to need a wife, think it over, no rush." His tone was so casual he might have been asking the time. With Ethan's specs, he'd be snapped up in seconds. I couldn't see why he'd pick me, until Maya wondered, 29 and 0 girlfriends, maybe he plays for the other team? Everything clicked. He needed a front to stop gossip. On my way back, I found Brielle waiting outside my dorm. She folded her arms, smirking. "I sent the text the night Julian proposed. After 5 years you deserved a front row seat, right? Cassidy, 5 years as my stand-in should be enough. Don't cling to Julian anymore." "Clinging?" I said coldly. "I don't chew regurgitated grass." "Keep him." Julian strode over, clutching bubble tea, and blocked Brielle with his body. "Cassidy, I'm the one who screwed up. Leave Brielle out of it." She'd come to me, but in his eyes I was the bully. The human heart is born crooked. A snort slipped out before I could stop it. Brielle threaded her fingers through his and swapped to a syrupy coo. "Julian, of course she's mad, she'll never find anyone better than you." Julian's eyes held a trace of guilt when they met mine. "Let me make it up to you. Name a figure." "Julian." I cut him off. "You owe me a debt of the heart, not the wallet. And I already have a boyfriend, one better than you." Back in the dorm, I messaged Ethan, "I'm in. Let's get married, asterisk. If love is nothing but an illusion, why chase it?" Ethan is poised, gorgeous, and loaded, marrying him is no loss. About half an hour later, he was parked outside my dorm. We wandered aimlessly across campus until we stopped at the edge of Lover. Ethan studied me through narrowed eyes for a long moment. "You're sure? No regrets?" I nodded firmly. "None." After a beat, I added, "I don't have parents, my wedding, my rules." He broke into a sudden grin. "Convenient, my wedding, my rules too. We'll still have a ceremony. It only happens once." I tilted my head back to meet his smiling gaze and quietly agreed. The next day, the instant the clerk handed us our license, Ethan pressed a house key into my palm. "Move in any time, wife." He stretched the word wife like taffy. Technically it was just a marriage of convenience, yet my cheeks still caught fire. The absurdity hit me all over again. I'd just married a man I'd barely met. Maya shrieked when she heard. "Girl, what if he's a con?" I spread my hands. "What's there to steal?" Still, I set up dinner. Introducing spouses to friends is part of the Alliance Charter. One meal and Maya twirled a full 360. In front of Ethan, she declared I'd married up, leaving me half flattered, half offended. After he dropped us at the gate, the second his car pulled away, she yanked me aside, squealing. "Not gay, I'd bet my gaydar on it," says the girl who falls for every pretty face. Hey, even if he were gay, you'd still be winning. Best friend ever, Maya. We were still cackling when a greeting chilled the night. Brielle, curled around Julian's arm, beamed. "Fancy meeting you two out for a stroll." I tugged Maya to leave, but she wrenched free and planted herself in front of Brielle. "Not fancy at all. 5 minutes earlier and you'd have seen Cassidy's husband, tall, loaded, and sweet. Total upgrade." Julian's face darkened, skepticism in his eyes. You're dating someone? I looped my arm through Maya's and smiled. He isn't my boyfriend. Julian's shoulders loosened until I finished, slow and crystal, he's my husband. Brielle's lips curled. That joke's in poor taste. Julian calmly unhooked her claws and stepped closer. Tomorrow's high school reunion, are you skipping because of me? I clenched my jaw and spit out, I'll be there. 5 years since graduation, every annual reunion organized by Julian, and I'd never missed one. Skip this year and rumors would claim I was home sobbing. Which, of course, they already did. I was only a few minutes late when raucous laughter spilled from the private dining room. Julian brought Brielle. No way Cassidy shows now. Rival in the room? I'd bail too, probably bawling her eyes out somewhere. I shoved the door open, the gossip circle snapped shut. Julian glanced at Brielle, then strode over, voice low. I didn't mean to rub it in. Brielle insisted. I walked past him and dropped into the seat beside our class president. No one mentioned the drama again, though a few sent me pitying looks. After the third round, the president asked about my postmaster's plans. I smiled thinly. Joining the wage-slave masses. Before the word settled, Brielle chirped, Cassidy, why not apply to Julian's company? Perfect fit. She dialed up the volume so no table would miss it. The buzz of chatter flatlined, even Julian shot her a warning glare. The clatter of a wine glass hitting tile broke the hush. I flashed the table a bright grin. Pass, my husband's firm needs me, also a perfect fit. While jaws dropped, I lifted my left hand and wiggled the ring. Forgot to announce, I got married. The president elbowed me. For real? Dead serious. And Ethan's business, as he'd once sketched it, matched my degree exactly. That cracked the dam, questions flooded in. I answered every one. End result, taller than Julian, richer than Julian, better looking than Julian, and nicer. Praising the new husband over the ex is a brutal sport, Julian's face showed every point. Brielle, suddenly fuming, sneered. Cassidy, don't inflate your pride with fiction. You and Julian split 5 minutes ago. How are you already married to Mr. Perfect? I shrugged. In that same 5 minutes you landed yourself an amazing catch, didn't you? Then I turned to Julian. Though for you too it's hardly minutes. You were already a couple while we were still together. Brielle shot up, cheeks quivering. I rolled my glass between my palms. I've always wanted to ask, Miss Tate, does homewrecking ever get boring? Whispers rippled like static. Tears sheeted down Brielle's face. She clamped a hand over her mouth and bolted. Julian sprinted after, tossing back, Cassidy, that was low. With the pests gone, I ate, drank, and over-celebrated. In my spinning haze a message pinged through, Cassidy, send me the address, I'm picking you up. I fought to keep the last shred of sobriety as I staggered toward him, then stumbled straight into his arms. How much did you drink? It should have been a reprimand, but coming from his lips it sounded impossibly gentle. Once I was steady, he considerately handed me a travel tumbler. Sober up tea. I took it and drained it in one go. You brewed this? He didn't answer. Instead he asked, you drank this much today, was it because of him again? I froze, then tilted my head and gave a soft laugh. No, I'm just happy. He said nothing. Leaning over, he clicked my seat belt into place. Pale yellow streetlight brushed his profile, lighting the faint smile at the corners of his eyes. At that moment he looked like a bewitching spirit. The alcohol surged to my head. I reached out and touched his face, muttering, you're really gorgeous. He chuckled. Then do you like it? I hummed along. Then come to my place tonight. The sudden words in my ear sobered me a few degrees. And no need. You'll sleep in the guest room. You've had too much, I'm afraid something might happen. A faint smile tugged at his mouth as he glanced sideways at me. What were you just thinking? Your face is so red. I slapped my forehead. What was I thinking? Ethan doesn't even like women. I drifted off thinking about that. When I woke, the car was already parked in the private garage. It looked as if we'd been there a while. Since you're awake, let's go. Ethan brought me to his downtown penthouse. The moment he opened the door, my eyes went wide. Women's slippers, pajamas, towels, everything was there. Even the mugs came in a pair. I stared at him suspiciously. You really don't have an ex-girlfriend? He handed me a glass of warm water. None of it's been used. It's all new. It was past 2 a.m. by the time I lay in bed. Only then did I see the class group chat had exploded. Half the people had it me. Someone had snapped a photo of Ethan and me and posted it. Under dim lamplight he was supporting me. Our faces were blurred, but the Rolls Royce at the curb was crystal clear. One comment, looks like Cassidy was telling the truth. Another, can't see the guy's face, might be some old geezer. Julian had also bombarded me with messages. Are you being kept? If you need money, tell me. Don't sink this low. Cassidy, answer me. I typed and deleted, finally replying, none of your damn business, and then I blocked him. I slept without dreams. When I woke it was already 9. Ethan was wearing an apron, carrying breakfast out of the kitchen. Hungry? I bit into the sunny side-up egg, thinking how great it would be if he were straight. But if he were straight, it would never have been my turn. While I was spacing out, Ethan suddenly asked, "Are you free next Sunday? Let's go order your wedding gown." I said okay. On the fitting day Ethan was late. I'd already had my measurements taken. An assistant brought a dress for me to try and gushed beside me, "Miss Hart, you look stunning in this. Your husband will be blown away." I thanked her politely and opened WhatsApp to see Ethan's message. "Cassidy, sorry, something urgent at the office. I'm on my way, wait for me. After we got our license he started calling me Cassidy. I still wasn't comfortable with nicknames, so I kept calling him Ethan. While I waited, Julian and Brielle walked in hand. Julian's face darkened. He strode over and demanded, "Cassidy, why did you block me? And, are you being kept?" At those words the salon staff's eyes lit up. They whispered while their fingers flew over their phones, pure gossip fodder. I ignored him, sat down, and crossed my legs. Brielle looked me up and down. "Did you come here for Julian? But we're getting married soon, please stop chasing him, all right?" Julian noticed my wedding gown and sighed. "Cassidy, I'm really sorry, but don't do this." The narcissism. I rolled my eyes so hard it hurt. Brielle was basically glued to him, staking her claim. I snapped, "I'm here to order my wedding gown." Disbelief was written all over their faces. I pointed at Ethan walking through the door. "He's here," Julian burst out laughing. "Him? Do you even know who he is, Cassidy? You still can't lie convincingly." Before he finished, Ethan reached me. "Sorry, Cassidy, I'm late." I slipped my arm through his. "It's fine. You're right on time." Julian's jaw dropped. After a long pause he croaked, "Bro, you guys." That single word bro petrified me too. I knew Julian had an older brother. Rumor said the guy had a sky-high IQ and was a business prodigy, got his master's at 22, took over his father's loss-making company, turned a profit in a year, and took it public in 3. When Julian spoke of him he'd sigh, "How can anyone be that brilliant? I'll never catch up." But he never said his brother's surname was Sterling. When Ethan looked at Julian his smile vanished. "Julian, you will call her Mrs. Sterling." Ethan locked his fingers through mine before I could pull away, amusement dancing in his eyes. Julian's brows knitted. After a moment fury flared. "Bro, do you even know she? All I know is she's my wife, and your sister-in-law." Ethan cut him off, voice carrying unquestioned authority. "Julian, worry about your own life." His gaze swept over Brielle. "A girl like that? Mom will never approve." Julian was terrified of his mother, because the daughter-in-law Lydia had in mind was someone else. During the 5 years we dated, he never dared tell her I existed. Our only real fight was junior year when he wanted me to take the grad school entrance exam with him. He said, "Mom has a pedigree fetish. If your degree sounds fancier, maybe she'll let us be together." That day I asked him, if she never agrees, would he break up with me? He hesitated. Now, with Brielle, he was hesitating again. In Brielle's hopeful eyes I saw my former self. Julian ultimately said nothing more. He spun around and strode off. Brielle shot me a complicated look, then ran after him. I pulled my hand from Ethan's. We looked at each other and said in unison, "Talk?" In the cafe, Ethan spoke of his family without prompting. It turned out Julian's mother had been the other woman. Because of her, Ethan's mother, who suffered from depression, jumped to her death. No wonder he prefers men with a past that suffocating. So later, even after they married, I forbade that woman and her child from ever being registered in our household, and I wouldn't let him take the Sterling name. When Julian transferred in 11th grade, it was only to return to his legal residence for the college entrance quota. "I never thought he'd meet you there." I tilted my head to look at Ethan. "Did you already know about me and him?" The question seemed to catch him off guard. He hesitated a long moment before answering, "I knew. So I was nothing more than a pawn to needle Julian." Even though ours was only a mutually beneficial arrangement, my chest still tightened. At that same instant Ethan's voice, threaded with resignation, drifted over. "If you'd found out earlier that Julian and I were related, would you still have married me?" "No." I didn't hesitate for a second. After a long silence he said slowly, "I'll drive you back to campus." I'd barely stepped through the school gate when Julian called after me. "Cassidy, even if you want to get back at me, you shouldn't have gone after my brother. Break up with him, all right?" I shot him a withering look. "We're already over. Whoever I'm with now is none of your business." Before I could take another step, Julian blocked my path. "He's exceptional. My family will never approve of you marrying him." He exhaled, talking as if to himself. "He has to inherit the company, so he has to marry someone from the right background. Your parents didn't even want you, and your family's barely getting by." The same person who once comforted me with gentle words was now driving a blade straight into my heart. Every stab. "Julian, since when do I need your approval to choose a wife?" Ethan had somehow followed us in. He laced his fingers through mine, his tone impossibly tender. "Besides, I'm the one who pursued Cassidy." He tucked a loose strand of my hair behind my ear, his voice soft but each word landing squarely in my chest. "Cassidy is remarkable. I'm the one reaching above my station." The pain of Julian's belittlement melted into something bittersweet at Ethan's words. I had to force back the flood of tears, only my eyes reddened. Ethan positioned himself completely between Julian and me. He stood even taller than Julian, muffling Julian's snarls so they barely reached my ears. "Just because my mom took your dad, you think you can steal my girlfriend? You two had already split. That still doesn't give you the right." "Who says I don't have the right? Do you dare bring her home?" "It's up to her mood. If she wants to go, we'll go. If she doesn't, we won't." Ethan didn't let go of my hand until we were well away. "Sorry you had to witness that." I gave a small shake of my head. "My own family's nothing to brag about. At least your parents waited until after your college entrance exams to tell you they were divorcing," Ethan said with unusual earnestness. "They do love you, they just love themselves more. But we can't judge them too harshly, people only live once, a little selfishness is understandable." Suddenly I felt lighter, as if I'd set something down. Ethan said if I never wanted to meet his father and stepmother, I never had to. I thought it over and said, "I'll go." That same day we ran into Julian and Brielle at the front door. I hadn't expected Julian to bring her. Brielle carried armfuls of designer shopping bags, her gaze dropping to my hands. A plastic bag printed with fresh fruit held a few seasonal pieces. Ethan, just back from parking, took it from me. "I've got that." Brielle, certain she'd already won, lifted her chin and strode ahead, only for Lydia to step outside, frown at her, then walk straight up to me and say gently, "You must be little Cassidy. You didn't need to bring anything." At the table Victor asked me several questions, but Ethan answered every one before I could open my mouth, leaving no seam for criticism. Lydia, on the other hand, showered me with warmth, praising me as the star student of Eastbrook University's flagship program and remarking how well-matched Ethan and I looked. Anyone unaware might have thought she was my real mother. Brielle was ignored throughout the meal. When she tried to serve Lydia a piece of fish, she earned a glare sharp enough to draw blood. After dinner Victor took a call and left. Ethan and I were on our way out when Lydia's furious voice rang out behind us. "I absolutely refuse to let the two of you be together." Once we were in the car Ethan said casually, "Brielle won't marry Julian." Seeing my interest, he went on, "Now that I've refused a business alliance, Julian has to make one. Brielle's probably thrilled tonight. She thinks this gives Julian a shot at overtaking me with his father-in-law's backing." I teased, "Does he stand a chance?" He countered, "What do you think?" "None whatsoever." I didn't know Ethan well yet, but it was already clear Julian was no match for him. Not in intellect, not in calculation, not in strategy. If there was one arena in which Julian might win, it was probably sexual orientation. Once we'd set the wedding date, Ethan asked if he should meet any of my elders. After a long hesitation I took him to Eleanor, the one person who had loved me without condition from start to finish. When she heard the news, the old woman's tears fell freely. Once the excitement ebbed, she moved to the next topic. "Sweetheart, have babies early, you bounce back faster." I answered with a smile, but guilt gnawed at me. Eleanor probably wouldn't live to see any child of mine. On the drive back Ethan asked out of nowhere, "Do you like children?" I thought I did. My parents' marriage had always been a battlefield. Every fight ended with them shouting about divorce and demanding that tiny me choose a side. Back then I promised myself that when I had a child, I would never raise her in that kind of war zone. But now, I couldn't read Ethan's intent, but I suspected he didn't want kids. So I masked my feelings with indifference. "Giving birth hurts. I don't like the idea." Maybe it was my imagination, but he looked almost disappointed and didn't speak again the whole ride. When he stopped the car he suddenly called after me, "Then let's adopt." I never expected Julian to come looking for me again. That day I was running an experiment when he showed up spouting nonsense. "Cassidy, I broke up with her. After everything, I finally know it's you I love." Not wanting to disturb the others, I pulled him into an empty corridor and cut straight to the point. "I don't love you anymore." Julian's pupils quaked. He grabbed my arm. 5 years together, only 2 months apart. You expect me to believe you feel nothing? Are you still jealous of Brielle? I cut her off completely, I swear. I yanked free and curled my lips in a sneer. "Julian, don't be pathetic. Right now I'm your sister-in-law." Before the words had settled, Brielle charged over, shrieking, "Cassidy, you shameless bitch. To win him back you seduced his brother. Now we've broken up. Happy?" Her voice echoed down the hallway, heads popped out of labs, and even my senior rushed over to ask if I was all right. Spotting spectators, Brielle cursed even louder. Julian stepped in to calm her and still caught 2 wild punches. I folded my arms, spacing my words like hammer strikes. "She's the other woman my ex cheated with. Now she's been dumped and thinks the former girlfriend owes her justice." Brielle lunged to hit me. Julian yanked her back, and in the tangle she sprawled on the floor, hair and dignity in equal disarray. "Enough!" Julian barked at her. "I ended things because I finally realized I don't love you enough." Cassidy never factored into it. "You're lying," she sobbed. "I was your first love, she's just my stand-in." Abruptly she swung her fury toward me again. "You seduced him, didn't you?" Uttering another syllable felt like a drop in IQ, so I spun on my heel toward the research lab. I'd barely taken 3 steps when gasps exploded behind me. I spun back to see Brielle lifting the fire extinguisher overhead, hurling it straight at me. Too close to dodge, I threw my arms over my head. The impact I expected never arrived. Ethan staggered in front of me, taking the blow. Every ounce of Brielle's strength slammed into his back. Metal split skin in a long, crimson seam, a huge red bloom burst across the white cotton of his shirt. At St. Gabriel's Hospital. Inside, the doctor cleaned and stitched Ethan's wound. Outside, Julian and I sat side by side on plastic chairs. I should have stopped her sooner. Nearly got you hurt, he muttered. I shot him a silent glance and pointed at the closed door. The person you owe is in there. Seems he cares about you, after all, Julian sighed. But Cassidy, we've got years of memories. I can't just accept losing. I stayed quiet a long moment, then answered, voice level, once a heart cracks, the fracture never disappears. Julian, no one stands still forever. And honestly, I really don't love you anymore. His lips pressed into a thin line, for an instant his face looked hollow. The door clicked open. Ethan walked out, sweat beading his forehead. Ignoring Julian, he reached for my hand. Cassidy, let's go home. On the ride back, I thanked him with total seriousness. Had that extinguisher connected with my skull, the consequences would have been nightmarish. Eyes crinkling in amusement, Ethan sidestepped gratitude. I just heard you say you don't love him anymore. Huh? He slowed his words, cautious, hopeful, then, could you try to love me? Wait, I thought you liked men. I slapped a hand over my mouth mid-sentence. Some questions are better left unasked. He tilted his head. What? I shook mine furiously. Nothing. He gave an awkward chuckle. Julian won't bother you again, I'll handle him. And Brielle? Consider her solved. I nodded woodenly. Cassidy, he murmured, soft affection warming his eyes, find time to visit our new townhouse. Give me decorating pointers. Oh Lord, he was so genuine I almost melted. Not long after, Julian flew off for grad school overseas. Word was it was the first time he defied Lydia's plans for him. Brielle got fired. Turns out she'd been a receptionist at one of the Sterling Group's minor subsidiaries. She can never show up in front of you again, that's my non-negotiable for not pressing charges, Ethan told me, sounding almost wounded. Cassidy, I cleared a huge mess for you. How will you reward me? Money meant nothing to him, and conventional female attention wasn't his thing. Short of fronting for his real orientation, I had nothing to offer. I gave him a classic confused blink, then finally raised a big thumbs up. Respect, you beast. He laughed in helpless resignation. On our wedding day, Julian never boarded a return flight. Victor, the delinquent father, raged at the wrecked illusion of brotherly harmony he'd envisioned. Amid the shifting crowd I spotted my parents, absent for ages. Mom held a toddler of about 2, a mirror of an old snapshot of her and me. Dad's infant was now a full-grown child. Our eyes met, I smiled. A small boy squealed, big sister smiled at me. Mom and Dad nodded politely back. Courteous, distant. Ethan whispered, I invited them. I pinched him. Mind your own business. Finally alone, I hugged a pillow and aimed for the guest room, only to be blocked by a dripping arm. Fresh from the shower, Ethan's hair was wet, his pajamas half open, revealing a textbook 8-pack. 1, 2, all 8. I'd suspected a good body. I hadn't suspected this. I'll sleep in the guest room, I stammered, male heat scrambling my brain. He plucked the pillow from my arms and tossed it back onto the bed, eyebrow cocked. Smile dangerous, wife, on our wedding night you still plan to leave me celibate? Before I could answer, he scooped me up. I froze against the thud of his heart. Over the past year, every time he'd reached for my hand or brushed my lips my his gay conviction had wobbled, and now it toppled completely. While my mind raced, his handsome face filled my vision. I slapped a palm over the lips about to descend on mine and blurted, But you like that guy, right? Ethan paused, pinched my cheek, voice husky enough to drill bones. Wife, who said I like men? I didn't sleep a wink that night. Ethan demonstrated, in exhaustive detail, that Maya's original theory was dead wrong. Not only was he not gay, he was exceptionally, devastatingly straight. After that, we launched into shameless cohabitation mode. Still, I couldn't puzzle out why Ethan had chosen me from the start. Each time I asked, he flashed that lopsided grin and claimed love at first sight. I protested, liar. The day we met, I'd cried my eyeliner into panda circles, ridiculous, not cute. He curved an amused brow. If pandas weren't adorable, would the species be a national treasure? I tapped my belly, laughing. Congratulations, prepare for a mini panda. He pulled me close, voice thick with moisture. Thank you, wife, for giving me a family. Thanks for listening to today's story. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate it? If you liked this video, please like and share with friends. We look forward to your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the next one. See you soon.